Morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? This is Antonio from Wattics. I hope you can hear me fine. So it's 4:30 here in Ireland. Not too sure. I mean, we have different people from all around the world, so it will be different times in different parts of the world. But let me just show myself first of all. So, so here's me. In the Wattics office. How are you guys? So thanks for joining this webinar, and I will soon turn off the camera and give space to a few slides that I prepared, and also some a demo of these new functionalities. We are all very excited to launch the Formula Composer tool, which I think will be very useful for many of your use cases, and perhaps you'll be able to find even more use cases than I could think of. So hopefully this will be quite interesting for all of you guys. Feel free to ask me questions. Perhaps as I will go through the presentation, I will have the GoToWebinar questions there, but I won't be looking at them in real time. But if you can write your questions there at the end of this webinar, I will go through the different questions and I will answer some of your questions. So as things come to your mind, just write down your questions and then we'll address at the end of the webinar. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. So let's start. Let me turn off this camera. I hope everybody can hear me properly. So it should be okay. I don't see any sign of people that cannot hear me, so I assume that everybody is happy. Okay, so let me turn off my camera and I will start the session. So first of all, I will share my screen. Okay. And I will put this in here. Okay, let me see if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Yeah, that's good. So I hope. I mean, the demo should not last. I know that people are very busy, so I will try to speed up and get it finished in 15-20 minutes, and then we'll take a look at the questions that you may have. Okay. First, an agenda. I like to discuss the latest changes that we made on the platform. I'm sure that you have some of you have already discovered some of the changes and played around a little bit. But just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, I know that sometimes even the little changes on the platform can be a little bit frustrating if it's not told in advance. Especially when certain things are moved or people would expect a certain behavior is not happening. So I'll focus on those changes. And then these changes are mainly the actual change of location for the notification and alerts. That it was at the end of the menu tab, and we moved to the beginning, mainly because certain people were asking where the notifications are, and so we moved up there. The upgrade of the data point registration tool. I will briefly touch this new tool that we have to register a new point. Okay. And then of course the center of this webinar, which is the Formula Composer. Okay, the Formula Composer at the moment is in beta version, so it's been enabled for all of you attending this meeting. Okay. This is because we, if you have the Formula Composer, you've been selected to test this tool and to give us some opinion how to improve it, if it's good, if it's bad, if it solves a problem or a need that you may have or that you will have in the future, and then discuss it. So it's in a beta version at the moment. So I will discuss how it works, some use cases, and then the terms for the Formula Composer, which is for the moment is offered to all of you free of charge for the next few weeks. Okay, a month in fact. And then after this month, we'll see how you play, how people plays with the Formula Composer, and then we will discuss the terms of the new Formula Composer later on. Okay, for the moment is in beta version because we like to see values out of the system, and we need to make sure that you're happy first. Okay. So some Formula Composer use cases that I've also discussed in the intercom message in the announcements that you've received by email. There are a few of use cases that I can think of that I believe it would be very useful for you. Baseline to track savings. We had the MMV. We still have the MMV tool that will track and your baseline, your savings, and will generate an MMV report. This is, however, static. We wanted to bring it to have it dynamic so that the savings could be tracked directly on the breakdown tab in real time. Okay, and that I think will be quite valuable. Condition-based formulas to identify issues across energy and non-energy data. So conditions such if then else. Energy performance metrics. Conditional-based virtual meters. So condition on virtual meters that you have created, not only on real meters. Smart KPIs, and then new type of points derived from multiplication with a constant, such as when you convert kWh, kilowatt hour, in CO2, in GHG, RI emissions, RHI emissions, F gas, or something else. You can now do it very, very easily and rapidly with the Formula Composer. And then finally, the calculation of cost if a threshold is exceeded. For example, this is on a Formula Composer as well. Okay, and I didn't put the notification because once a formula meter is created, then you can actually put notification and reports against that formula meter. Okay, so why? I think the big driver for the Formula Composer within Wattics, and by talking to you, has been this big need of stay away from Excel as much as possible, because not because we don't like Excel. It's just because it's not fit for certain purposes. Excel is beautiful when it comes to financials, or it comes to no, spreadsheet. Everybody uses Excel, but when it comes to engagement, when it comes to energy management, when it comes to real-time tracking of performance of what's going on with an energy efficiency project, we feel, and I'm sure you feel also, that Excel is a bit limited. It's difficult to share. It is not interactive. It's a great tool, but nowadays I think it's time to get onto an energy management or an energy analytics platform, appropriate tools that will enable energy analyst and energy manager, energy professional to do as much as possible within the platform, rather than every time download this information into an Excel and have long hours of working out things and then uploading that back and everything else. Because it works when you have a small amount of project, but as you grow your business, you have more project. Saving an hour of your time, saving a day of your time is great, because you can do things that are not the as we call it, the monkey jobs, but actually you can be much more productive in talking to your customers and managing project and really scale faster. Okay, and that's the need that we see with the composite with the Formula Composer. Okay, so let's take a look at the demo. So you'll see you see it functioning, and I'm also discovering myself the power of the tool. So bear with me if I'm also in a discovery mode as you are, but it should be interesting. Okay, so let me. So you're familiar with the platform. So before I go into the Formula Composer, which is a new icon that is appearing here, the other two things that I wanted to talk is the notification settings. Before it was here at the end, and it was rarely seen by people, and certain and some of our partners were asking where the notifications were. So we actually brought it back here because we feel that notification settings are quite an important part of an energy management software. So we'll encourage you to actually set notification. You have a good amount of notification that you can set. You can set notification against a threshold. You can set notification for any parameters that you collect. You can select notification cumulated cumulated so far against the threshold, even on dollars or currency cost. So if you actually want to, if you have a budget for a particular appliance or particular monitored points or a particular machine, or even for the entire building, such as budget daily for this particular meter, now you can actually track this budget, and you can select here a daily, and you can put a number here, so you can receive every day a notification or an alert if the budget has been exceeded. So it's quite nice. And then all week long, or for certain days, or you can actually pick up the day of the month where you want the alert to be set. But this, I mean, the alert is quite an interesting tool, the offline notification and the sentinel alerts. So I'll encourage to use. I mean, it is used quite a lot, but in my opinion, I think you should use more the notification, because it brings engagement with you and with your customer. Okay. The other part that I wanted to discuss is the creation of points. So some of you send us a point authorization mandate, which is an Excel spreadsheet, coming back to the Excel, where you list the new points that you want to have registered onto the platform. And that's one way of doing that. But many of you are familiar with the fact that you are independent. So you can go to organization, select your organization, select your site, and you can add your own meter. Okay. And when you added a meter before, there used to be quite a long form where you had to select 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes interval, aggregation, cumulative, and so on and so forth. So as that was causing some confusion, because if I buy an AccuRev meter, or if I'm pushing data through CSV files, I do not necessarily know if I'm pushing data every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, if the system is cumulative, not cumulative. So we try to make it a little bit more intuitive and guide the partner. So there is now you can select which type of meters you have. If you have electrical, then we have several templates. These templates are now only, there is only 7 templates, but this list will grow because we have many other templates that we haven't yet added to here. Okay. But if you have, for example, an octopus, you now put your meter ID, your name, and in this case you can choose the process, and if it's one or many parameter. If you have an FTP, you can also do that. If you have an AccuRev, there is some more if it's monophase or three-phase. So if you're monitoring monophase circuits or three-phase circuits, and the pulse counter has also these parameters. But in general, we add or take out certain certain attributes or certain parameters according to the meters that you have. Okay. So that is the purpose of this new upgrade of this upgrade of the data registration. Okay. So now let's go and take a look at this new Formula Composer. Okay, so where do we start? First of all, we start from the fact that we wanted to keep the same layout. So if you migrate from the breakdown tab to the formula composer, there's very little change. You know, the only change being this new y-axis and the fact that the energy performance here, the key performance or the energy performance indicators are gone because in the formula composer they are not needed. But the same structure of the tool applies. Monitor points on the left hand side and control panel on the right hand side. In here, you can still select the points. Okay, so you can select floor 2. You can deselect all the points and or just compare as you normally do in the breakdown tab. The addition is the fact that now you have this y-axis, and in the y-axis, as it's written here, you should start with @ if you want to select any points that you have in this list, and you should start with question mark if you want to select an operator, or if you want to understand what are the operators that are now available in the composite in the formula composer. So let's start with question mark. If I click here and I put a question mark, there is this drop-down menu that show me the operators that are now available. This list will grow. These are just the basic one that we wanted to add in a minimum viable product of a formula composer, that are addition, subtractions, multiplication, division, the remainder, exponential, and if condition. Okay. So these are, but we will add and or, we will add other functions, and we are happy to take any suggestion from you if you have some operators that you feel you will need. Okay. So we can start with a basic one. So if you go on Alpha Hotel, for example, you can start clicking. You can start typing. So if I want a compressor, I just put compressor here, and the system will look at the name and will just show all the appliances and all the circuits that you have that has the name that you have. So as I keep on writing, it will filter out only the one that are relevant. Okay, so it's quite quick to choose the circuits that you want. When you click compressor number 1, you put a space, and the system will just show compressor number 1. And here you can put an addition, and now start again with @ and then you can make an addition between the two compressor. So compressor number 2, for example, and here are the two compressor together. This is kind of what we believe, so what we call the formula meter. Or you can take out a third compressor, for example. And then of course, if the third compressor is bigger, the formula becomes negative. Okay, once you have this formula, you can still use the control panel and move in the previous years to see how this has performed. You can move to the yearly view, so negative, wow, and you can have even a daily view over 1 year. Okay, so very powerful. You can still download the graph, you can do all the magic. You can see that in Spline, for example, or in cost, I believe. Oh yeah, also in cost. Yeah, very good. And one thing is that once you have these, maybe just let's show it in month. Let me just take out the compressor number 3 for a second. Compressor number 1 and 2. You can still use the monitor points to, in this case, I think we are on the food corporation. You can still use these to do your comparison with compressor 3 if you want your composite or your formula meter together with the compressor 3. Okay, so very powerful, and will allow you to do any sort of addition, multiplication. Multiplication actually I haven't shown, but it's the same. You just here you click the multiplication element, and in here you can multiply by a constant. we can take out the compressor number 3. So this one, what it means is that, so if you want to convert kilowatt hour in CO2, for example, and the coefficient, the conversion factor is 0.23, this is how you do it, and now you can monitor per month or per week what is your CO2. And at this point, if you want to have this compressor 1 CO2 emission into the into the tree menu, you click on here and you actually create a point. And here I can call it compressor. It was a compressor 2, compressor. Oops, sorry. Just close it for a second. It was compressor 1. So I can create compressor 1 CO2, or maybe CO2 compressor 1. Here you choose one of the site or the organization that you have available, so the food corporation. Note that the formula meter will be always put at level 3, so it will be under organic farm at this level, and it will always have a green kind of icon, such as this one looks like a target. Okay, the unit in this case could be no CO2 tons or whatever. Just put a and in here you can actually choose the start date of calculation. So you can actually take the historical value of compressor 1 and multiply those values in the past. So if I want this data points to start from January 2017, I just click here and I submit, and I agree. So that this is a new point that will be added to your tree menu. And once you submit, the system will start processing. So if I click here, the system will show success, and the formula meter will so the system will start processing this. So it will take a few minutes because what it does, it takes this new formula and query, put it into a queue, and will be executed within the next few minutes. But you can still see the points that appears here, but it would just take probably a few minutes before you actually see the data. So we can actually take a look. Maybe it's already it's already finished. Let's see. Sometimes it depends on when the schedule happen. In this case, let's see. Oh yeah, we have already the data, I believe. Let me see. It started filling up the data from January. So you see that the data has been filled up, and in the next 15 minutes you will see that all the from the 2017 to the 2018 there will be a new point that will have the values that you want. Okay. So that's the composite meter and so and the formula meters and how that will work. But let's now take a look at a use case and how this could be used for your purpose. Okay, so suppose that you are in this beta resort, and at the moment we are looking at the breakdown tab. Okay, and we see that we look at the value, and we take a look at the pie chart, and we see where the cost is going. So most of the cost is in this kitchen. Okay, so we go and have a look at the activity map for the kitchen. We'll go here, we see the kitchen, and this kitchen is mainly used for usually in the morning, maybe for breakfast, and in the evening. But nevertheless, there's consumption throughout the day, and there's also a bit of consumption overnight. Now, this consumption overnight may be just the fridges in the kitchen that have been left on. In here, I believe one of the major consumer in a kitchen, in a restaurant kitchen, is the extractor. So to extract the fume for the kitchen. Many times what happens is that the chef just leave the extractor on for the whole day, regardless where the kitchen is being used or not. So, and that's why you find this extractor that turns on and off, on and off, on and off regularly, and it has a much higher consumption in this period than this. So we talk to the hotel manager, and let's suppose that you agree to install a control system in the kitchen to monitor to turn off this extractor fan after say 2 p.m. because between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. the kitchen is actually closed. So you would like to see a pattern of consumption that is similar to the night. Okay. At this point, you tell a price. You may go to the operation analyzer to estimate what would be the cost of this, the return on investment of this operation. So you go to the kitchen, and as usual, I believe you have done this in other circuits. What you do a small calculation here. So you just take the area between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. To estimate what would be the cost more or less if there won't be no consumption within this area. Maybe if this would be with no consumption, maybe I can estimate what is the consumption overnight. So I can look at this area. It says, okay, the consumption overnight is $50. So if I will have this control system here, I would probably have $332 minus $50 because the fridge will still be on. So I'm assuming that probably I would be saving the order of £280 per day, per month, sorry. And then you can estimate what would be the yearly view of how much you would have saved. In this case would be 8,281 minus, I believe, $600, okay, for the kitchen. So about $7,800 if I'm correct with my math. But okay, it seems to be a valid project to undertake. So the cost for this project is $2,500. Let's say the customers agree to carry on, and now what you do here, it may be an MMV project where you call it air extract control kitchen, where you do the different baseline reporting period, and at the end the system will calculate a model based on the kitchen covers in this case. So what you want to do here then is to take this formula here and which is your savings that are plotted here, okay, and take this model and put it into an actual formula meter. So in here you would let me just open some notes here. For example, you would put 2.39 what was it, multiply the kitchen cover plus 10.35. So in here would be multiplied by the kitchen cover. Here I should have the kitchen cover somewhere. Kitchen or the covers maybe. Let me see, covers. Yes, I have the covers there, plus 10.35 or something. So what you do here, you basically create your formula or your baseline, okay, whatever it is. I mean, we have just assumed that we calculate the baseline with the MMV, but you can calculate the baseline. It could be just a constant, or it could be a baseline that you have calculated elsewhere. But the point here is that based on the covers that are that is a numeric value that you have here, you create your baseline of what will be the consumption in that kitchen, and then what you want to do is to compare this baseline against the kitchen value upgraded. So if I go here, I will there are here the kitchen upgraded. So I would be able to compare these two values. So what I can do here is to have this model, so create a new point, which we call it model, which I've already done here. Is the kitchen kilowatt hour model is basically this formula that I've created before. Okay, so what I can do now with the formula composer is to do the kitchen model minus the kitchen upgraded, and this would be basically my savings. So what I'm comparing is the model that is this one, okay, that I've already created here, kitchen kilowatt model, minus the actual values of the kitchen, which to understand what is the savings that my control system is generated. Okay, and this is because if I go back to the MMV here, in here I've assumed that the extract fan installation was the 27th of March 2018, and between the 27th and the 1st, and the baseline were the energy data from the kitchen in here, and the reporting period was the period after. So the model has been created by looking at the kitchen value, and then and based on the cover, because apparently the covers that are the actual people that went to eat in that restaurant had a very high correlation with the consumption of the kitchen, and that's why I've used the kitchen cover to make my formula. I hope this is clear. So what I'll do here then, I can go to my formula meter. I can create my energy, my kitchen mode, the model, so the kitchen kilowatt hour model. Okay, and I can do this one. I can take this off, minus the actual kitchen upgraded, which is the kitchen after I've upgraded, and this one is we can create a new point, okay, and we call it savings, kilowatt hour savings kitchen, and I can add this point to my beta resort. So I can put it kilowatt hour, and I can start the calculation on, say, the 2nd of November, say 2016, because that's what I did, the 3rd. Okay, so I can submit this. Yep, which has been successful. And now if we wait a little bit on the system will start processing, we will see what exactly the saving has been in the kitchen. So you should have here somewhere the savings, the kilowatt hour saving in the kitchen, and here I will see that well, some of the savings are not there, but I will see kind of certain days where I've done some savings and other days where I haven't done some savings, perhaps. But this is just because we are simulating something that actually probably didn't happen. But you got some ideas. And here, if I move per year, let me see. In general, I can see the savings happening after. So at the beginning, actually, there are no savings, of course, because this is before I changed the control system. But as I move in with my with after the installation has happened, then I can see some savings there that is happening here. Okay. So these are basically the savings that I'm making in the kitchen on a monthly basis in the 2018. And it's interesting because then at this stage I can go here to the notification setting and perhaps create a new alert and be alerted if in the kitchen the kilowatt hour savings are for example against the threshold, accumulated maybe against the threshold, and we can call it small savings or alert no savings, for example, and I can look at the kilowatt hour. If it's lower than 0 kilowatt hour for more than 3 readings, then the system will alert me by email all week long if the kitchen is not making savings, because then it means that either the control system has been turned off or something is happening in the kitchen, and me as an energy manager, I would like to be notified that no saving has been made in the kitchen. So I think the tool somehow, this is just one use case, but the tool will, it's just completing the whole things and monitoring the savings or the wastage in real time by creating these formula meters across all of the meters that you have. So so it's not we call it formula meter. It's not really a virtual meter, but it's more than a virtual meter. Now, a virtual meter is just an addition or subtraction, but you can actually do much more with this tool. Okay. And the same thing, the last thing that I wanted to show is if you can create if condition. So if the floor one, for example, is greater than the floor 1, 2, for example, if you know that kind of this shouldn't happen, then print me 0, otherwise print me 1. And in this case, the system will look at if the floor 1 has been bigger than floor 2, and perhaps here actually you can print even another floor. So print me for floor 2 if it's bigger. So in this case, in here, so if the consumption in the floor 1 has been bigger than consumption in floor 2, then the system is printing floor 2, otherwise it's printing 1. I don't know what use cases that could be, but an if condition, if something happened, then print me something else. I feel that it would be quite an important use cases for to explore as you engage with the customers, and you need to do certain operation across meters. Okay, and I think this concludes this brief demonstration of the formula meter. I hope you like it. There will be another webinar tomorrow for the people that have not attended. So if there is somebody in your team that has not attended today, and perhaps you want to recommend to attend the webinar, there will be another one tomorrow where I will repeat a little bit what I've done today, and perhaps I will improve it a little bit based on your comment. Okay, so that's great. Let's have a look at some of your. I will stop sharing my screen, and we can go through some of your questions if I find if there is some there. So let me first of all stop the screen. Questions. Let me check. Okay. Okay. Okay, Carlos. Hello, Antonio. Good morning. All good here. We can see the screen. Yes, and then Amy. So I don't see many. I don't. Maybe it's here. No, I think there are. From what I see here, I don't see many of your question, guys. So I assume that that everything was clear. And yeah, so that's great. Maybe there is one question here. How will it work? We will be charged by new point. That's a good question, Carlos. I'm sure that. So for the moment, Carlos, it's free of charge. We will send the terms in a month's time. Okay. I want to see the tool used for the moment. So the terms we have the terms inside, but we want to understand how people use the system and what is the value that provides, and so on and so forth before distributing the terms to all of you. Okay. We want to test with our clients. Yes, surely, Carlos. I mean, you can do it. You have the tool available in your. You have the tool available in your platform, so nothing prevents you to create a new formula meter, as I did today, and with the points that you have already in your platform, it will work just fine. I hope this makes sense for you. And another question from Chad. will we be able to remove composite meter points or formula meters, as we call it, ourselves? Yes, you will be able to do it. Okay. This is one functionality that when the beta is finished, we will add in the admin session. So the way I showed you before that you could add new meters, new point, there will be a button where you can actually delete the point yourself. Okay. Anna, there's no question. Everything's clear. That's good. My God, there's other questions. Yeah, so that's the same questions from Carlos, and see how it worked then. Bruno, can we show the result of the formula in a widgets? That's an interesting question. No, Bruno, not at the moment. Let me just, if we touch, let me just share again the screen. So, because the widgets are well, a bit limited at the moment, but let me just show them to you. So in here, I'm sharing again the screen. So let me see. You will you have this when you add the widgets, you can add a counter, a site ranking, live value, expected value, and unread notification. So the expected value is the Sentinel trends, okay? The machine learning tool to do the expected patterns of consumption. Live value is the value right now. Site ranking a counter. The site ranking is when you want to compare to different sites, and the counter. So let me see what you can do in here. You know, for example, no, on the cover this has not been enabled, but perhaps will be a good addition if we'll enable the kitchen upgrade, which is a point, which is an electrical point. Although this is a formula meter, but this formula meter is kilowatt hour, and because it's kilowatt hour, you can actually show this on the counter. So something you can show whatever formula meter you create. If the formula meter results is the sum or the subtractions between kilowatt hour, between the electrical meter, the result is also an electrical meter. And because it's an electrical meter, then you can put a widget against it, because the widget works with the electrical point at the moment. So you can actually create a widget here, and it is called the kitchen upgraded, and it's an electrical meter. But if you create a formula meter that is not an electrical meter, such as cover or kitchen kilowatt hour, when it has this green target, then at the moment you cannot put a widget against it. Okay. Let me see if you can put some other, for example, this one, but I don't think so. No, you cannot. Okay, but yeah, for the widgets, I mean, this is another piece of work that we will do in the coming future. I'm not too sure when, but we want to upgrade this view. We want to put a grid view, and we want to add some more widgets. But you know, it's in the pipeline also, that one. But you know, we have to decide what to prioritize, and we always consult you guys in order to prioritize certain things over others. Okay. So let me carry on with the next question. Can we see the money? Can we see the money savings, not only the energy savings? Interesting question. I suppose you can. Let me see. So if interesting question. In the formula that I make, a kilowatt hour saving kitchen, you don't have any savings. Actually, let me share the screen here. Okay, this is actually Diana that is making this question, which is an interesting one. When I sorry, what is this? No, try to write. When I created this kilowatt hour saving for the kitchen, the values are shown. Okay, because the system classified this as not necessarily as an electrical point, because it's a new formula meter, the system does not know which tariff to apply. Okay, so this would be an interesting upgrade, Diana, that we could do. So when you create a new point, so um, if you are doing a best resort plus 34, clearly the result of these is still kilowatt hour. So when you go and create a point, we can add a new function here that is called electrical point. So if the point is electrical, then what we can do is apply the tariff, and in that way, by doing that, then when you go to the breakdown and you click onto the kilowatt hour savings and cost, you also will be able to see the dollars or the money. But at the moment, because the system does not know that the result of this formula meter is an actual kilowatt hour, it doesn't know which tariff to apply or whether it makes sense to apply a tariff. But this will be an interesting upgrade. Thanks for pointing out. So the other question, if the formula is the result in savings, if the formula is the result in savings, Bruno, tell me a little bit more. What do you mean if the formula is the result in savings? I don't understand this question. Um, 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 yeah, I don't understand this question. So if perhaps can we see the money savings, not only the energy saving, if the formula is the resulting savings? Oh, perhaps it's the same questions that a continuation of the previous one. So I understand. Yes, I mean, as I said before, if the formula is still kilowatt hour, then it makes sense to add a tick box where you want the tariff to be applied. I think that we can do. Okay. Okay, so the questions have finished. I think I've answered all of the questions. Not a problem. Bruno said thank you. Not a problem at all. Bruno, it's been a pleasure as usual. I hope you enjoyed, guys. You know where to find us if there are more questions in the future. I hope you can start playing with the tool, and I hope you will find it very useful, flexible, and that suits your needs. Okay, take care, and have a great rest of the day. Bye bye.